Right.
gets to where it needs to get, you're golden. But always make sure it gets there, because then if it doesn't, then you're not on YouTube, and then Tanya will text you and yell at you. There you go. Alright. So there they are. So do you know if anybody from the board is planning on attending remotely?
I don't believe so.
Okay,
Keep looking back in the woods.
I'll check. I'm sitting here, so.
Okay.
I'll be the IT. We. IT. Kidding.
Brandon, I know you're getting ready to go. These are 3 of the minutes.
Oh,
We
yes.
have the different dates, so those have to go.
Yeah. Well, let's call this meeting to order. Waldeboro Planning Board. Oh, this is an old date. What is the date today? Well,
Yes.
all right, we have a quorum with 4 members out of 5 on the board here tonight. And we are welcoming a new planning board member, Shane Garvey. Are you a full member or an alternate?
I'm an alternate.
Okay, that's what I
I
thought.
took the oath today.
Do you want to introduce yourself?
I mean, you guys all know me. I'm here all the time.
People watching may not know you.
Oh, I'm Shane with Applecroft at 122 Atlantic Highway. And excited to be here and be a part of all of this.
Any adjustments to the agenda? Right, electing a planning board vice chair, I guess. We haven't had one for a while. Since I recall, I think Barbara was the last vice chair. Anyone want to nominate themselves? Be the vice chair?
And I nominate myself as an alternate.
Oh, I don't know.
I'm not.
You probably have to be a full member.
Probably. There's only one full member present.
That's
beside
you.
it.
We can nominate one of the members who's not here.
Oh, yeah.
You can do that. They can't say no.
I'd nominate Margot, but,
Yeah. We can certainly do that, I guess. Because I can always decline. I imagine that Margot would be happy to do it. A little odd to do it without her consent, but she can say no.
Do we want a motion to move it to the next meeting? The table it?
Honestly, if there is no vote, you could decide that night amongst yourselves who would chair the meeting.
Yeah.
So you
it's-
could wait if you would like.
Yeah, I think that's probably a wise thing to do. For some reason.
Who's not here?
Yeah.
second motion.
All right, next up is citizen comments. Is there anything anyone would like to address? Nope, okay.
Oh, can I ask one question? When is the deadline for the next agenda for April?
Could you clarify what you mean?
You have to submit to be on the agenda by a certain point for the April planning board meeting.
Oh,
Previous?
it's, yeah, so the routine is there's a notification that goes out 2 weeks in advance.
I think it's the
and-
next one's on the 9th of April, I think.
Yeah, so it has to get in before the newspaper deadline, before the 2 weeks, so the 2.
And it also has to be, any application has to be deemed complete,
Yeah, right.
so it's not an automatic.
Yeah, I mean, the earliest I would say, or sorry, the latest date I'd say that we'd have to have a complete application would be the 23rd of March.
The 23rd. Okay, thank you.
I think the deadline is Tuesday. 23rd is Monday. next up is land use provisions. Um. Where do we stand on all that? With,
So, she basically said that you have all the stuff that had gone forward. There were, a few things that she wanted to bring to your attention. One is she couldn't remember where she left off. There's a handout there that has, Article 12 in it. And on the back of the, 12-4. There was a section she wanted to make sure that you guys had seen that or should see that. It should be highlighted.
oh, yes, we talked about this. I was just reading about that in the minutes. Yeah, we had discussed this, somebody had suggested 5 years. We thought about 2 years. This isn't requiring like any construction be started or permits be pulled, this is just recording this in the registry of deeds. And so we all thought 2 years is a pretty reasonable amount of time to.
But what does it mean by must have action taken on it?
I believe that's what she was talking about.
Okay.
And the reason I remember having a conversation with her, and if I'm not mistaken, one of the issues that came up was we had something that went through the planning board, was never recorded properly, in 1980s. And no action was ever taken as far as that goes. So,
As far as recording it in the registry of deeds.
well, there was a recording, but then somebody went back through and changed the map. And then that one was never recorded. So it raised all kinds of red flags on, well, when does something cease to exist? When is something, if it's not recorded, there's nothing in our ordinance that says if it's not recorded, there's a time limit where after that time period, it's null and void.
We had discussed this and. I think we had boiled it down to it just needs to be recorded because if you make a subdivision and sell the lots, even if they're not developed. You know,
It should be
15
recorded.
years. Yeah. Yeah. But I don't know if we can force people to make it valid to complete work. Like, oh, 10 years past, you didn't put your driveway in, subdivision's gone.
Yeah, that's a little odd.
I think that would be covered at some place in main law that she can look into.
Right, her email basically said, that she sent me where we had talked about making a time limit to approve subdivision plans, and I don't think we ever brought that up to the board. Plans are good for 2 years, question mark, 5 years, question mark, from approval, question mark. Did we talk about this already? And I'm not remembering.
We definitely did.
I'm not sure I understand what. What the problem. I mean. Why can't we just delete and must have action taken? I mean, what is that, what is this taking action about? I still don't understand. Like, if we approve subdivision. It gets recorded as the registry of deeds, what is the additional action that we're asking to be done?
To divide the property. Because if you could have a subdivision plan done by a surveyor and never. Take the action to actually divide the property to split it. Just because you have even if it gets approved, if the lots are never on paper split.
That's recording it at the registry of deeds, is it not?
It's recording the plan that they submitted to the board and was approved by the board with the signatures. But there's no sunset clause that says, hey, they have to actually make that happen and divide those lots.
The recording it makes it happen.
That's what I thought.
The action itself is just the process of recording it. So it's just saying you have to record it and that action of recording it has to happen in 2 years.
Okay, that's what I thought we were trying to say.
Yeah,
So why don't we just strike the and must have action taken on it so that it reads approved subdivision plans must be recorded at the registry of deeds within 2 years. of the-
I like that.
Cause I think the state law is different than that.
It's quoting a state statute here,
Which one, which state statute is it?
Title 30-A, paragraph 4408.
Okay, I'm in 4403,
How would that somebody thinks?
I think so,
4408.
yeah.
I'll have to look at that before. So 44.8 is for okay. You may not require less than 90 days for the subdivision plat. Plan, plat, or document to be recorded in the registry of deeds.
Okay,
If you fall outside of that.
definitely. All right. That makes sense to me. Anything else on this?
I have a procedural question.
Yeah.
Are we going to approve these to go to the select board one by one, or are we gonna go through all of them, and then at the end? Approve?
It's put on the warrant as one.
Okay.
Right. Yeah, I was sort of hoping that we were going to have like an updated. Set of changes again, like, you know, compared to us last time.
Yeah,
Um. But,
Did she not send you? What did you do?
no,
did she email me? I
Oh.
didn't see it. Yes,
April 7th is the date that the select board has to have a hearing. And have it in their hands for it to be on the warrant.
well, that's different information than we got last time. We've been assuming that we had to,
You might have to have your own hearing, but for them, they have to have the hearing and have it in their hands on the 7th,
okay,
April 7th.
Kate told us that. Pam had an earlier deadline to get all this together.
Presumably
She
they have to
does.
have their documents before, a certain time before their meeting.
Right, yeah.
Which she usually does like a week in advance. She tries to get all documentation to them to go over prior to the meeting.
So their approval meeting for the warrant is April 7th.
Right.
I'm just saying, if you needed more time to do something, there's a little bit of wiggle room there. I was trying to be helpful.
Yeah, I think, I thought that the date that we got from Pam was next week sometime, which is why we were trying to
Yeah.
approve everything tonight.
It probably is because of the public hearing that probably has to be held.
Okay. Where are we going to start with this then? Had so many meetings, and I did not gather all of this up into one succinct document. I guess, while I'm shuffling through this, another thing that I was thinking about that we never came back to was, the changes that you had requested, Mark, about paragraph 3.3.5.
Oh, changing the names from code enforcement to planner.
No, it was about, you were talking about changing some language about,
it's right here.
about the process about getting building permits. Because
Yeah.
you were having people who were surprised they had to apply for building permits after they got a planning board approval.
Right.
Yeah, do you want to try to change that?
Yeah, the only thing that I think we talked about at that point in time is whatever I said about, you know, they have to have a, building permit. But there was something in there that we were discussing changing.
The word
so that-
shall.
Right.
Some of your discussion is in one of those sets of minutes, probably the really long, hard to one.
Yeah, I was not on board with changing that from shall to may because it sort of creates like a separate level of approval, which would be the code enforcement officer, who would then have to either choose to agree with the planning board or not about whether or not the project was approved.
Right, and I think the solution to that was to add the words, you know, building permits. Because that way it specifically talks about, you know, issuing building permits is still separate from what the planning board does. The approval of the planning board does not mean that they have an application. And I just had something today with the person that's gonna be coming to the board not too long, we were thinking of, well, if they get approval from the planning board, they don't have to go to a code enforcement officer for any building permits, that is their building permit.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, yeah. That's approved, so I guess we've got this document, it's called Land Use Ordinance Proposed Updates. I guess. I think that we didn't have any changes to this. It's all kind of got reflected into the other handouts that Kate had given us in previous meetings. Yeah, I mean.
May I ask a quick clarifying question?
Sure.
Kate uploaded some documents to the website. And I don't know if that's being considered the most recent or if it's what was left over from last week.
I haven't been reading my email this week.
I mean, I have, but I haven't gotten anything from Kate.
Yeah, we definitely didn't get.
Let's see what's up there.
So that language is in the minutes for January 29th on page 4, article 3. So that specific section that we talked about, and Margot did put in a suggestion into that as well.
That's- There is a document in here.
Is that something you want to just send to my email? I can print off some copies for you.
It's on the town webpage.
It's on the town webpage.
Yeah.
Under agendas, maybe?
It's 160 pages.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Maybe just one copy.
You want me to print one?
We have a fast copier.
Okay.
I also
Oh, you have to
just
go.
texted Max. He says that you hold a public hearing, as does the select board, but if there is a time crunch, it can be on the same night. But as long as we have it, so you could do a later meeting in March. If you need to do
Yeah,
a public hearing, and then the select board could have their public hearing that's scheduled for.
You have time to like publish it in paper beforehand.
I remember specifically that Kate left and talked with Pam and that we had to have it done tonight.
Okay.
I don't remember the rationale.
it was something about. Yeah,
It's publishing.
it's publishing, that's what it was, right? Yeah. How is she, what is she publishing before the select board votes on the articles to put into it?
So I think it's you would have to have a hearing. Probably their thought was you, as the planning board, have to have a hearing before it goes to the select board. That's,
Yeah.
unfortunately, I'm not a planning board expert. I wish I were.
Yeah, no, it's okay.
I'm just here as the IT person, but I'm
One
trying to
of
be as
your-
helpful as possible.
One of your challenges with the document that's being printed is there are annotations on the side, and I don't know if those are gonna show up when it's printed. And I don't know when this appeared, because I had looked for it.
No, I think that it will, and they're all the annotations are just formatting indents.
Yeah,
and
there's
things like
commas
that.
and stuff like that, it looks like, so.
Oh, it doesn't continue through the whole document though, but, okay,
It stops for one of the sections and then it picks up again.
yeah,
Maybe one section didn't have any changes.
no, it had changes. And it's just another formatting change.
So this must be the whole thing redone, not just.
I'm gonna go on, I'll find out the actual answer here. I'm gonna go on.
Okay.
Yeah, it's 162 pages.
The annotations started later.
What's that?
The annotations are further down the document.
Oh, they come and go.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, I guess while we're waiting, why don't we approve these minutes?
Yeah.
We do not have quorum to approve the January 8 minutes. But we do for the other three. Which are somewhere.
I thought that was
Four.
So I
Yeah,
figured it
February
out.
12 also.
It was 3 that she gave me.
We got January 8.
Yep.
January
February.
29,
No, there was,
February 12.
Wow.
There was another one uploaded, but I don't know if it made it to you.
Yeah,
there was one in January, there was February 12th, February 8th and February 12th. I don't think it was like January 29th, wasn't it?
Yeah.
so let's. See, they are. January 8th, January 29th. February 12. February 26. It's the one that's. We did not receive a printed copy of tonight.
Okay.
I don't.
Yep. So. You can only vote on these if you happen to have been at the meeting, so.
I was here, but.
You were here, yeah, right? All right, so I'm gonna move to approve the January 29. February 12 and February 26 minutes. And written, I have a copy of February 26 minutes, if anyone hasn't read them yet.
second, and we just vote.
Yeah, we need a second, I guess.
I'll second.
All right. All in favor? All right, minutes approved. And when Eric gets back, we can approve the January 8 minutes. You got something done?
So I have answers for you.
Oh, great.
So, the notice in the ordinance must be posted in the municipal office at least 13 days before the public hearing. So That's why it has to be done at least 13 days, and then you, the planning board, has to hold the hearing, and then it has to be published a second time. The date of the first publication must be at least 12 days before the hearing, and the date of the second publication must be at least 7 days before the hearing. So I think that's what it is, because by the time they get the notice to the paper, so that's why it had to be done tonight. Because you have to have your hearing, then select board has to have their hearing, so anyway, that's where you're at. So it does make sense in a convoluted way.
Okay. Seems like we still got another week if we had that up in there, but we probably couldn't get a meeting time together. For next week. Yeah, okay. We will. Go ahead then.
And Max says hello to everyone.
I'm back.
Okay. Any chance we could pull this document up on the screen and we could go through it like that?
Check with the IT department.
Not sure, but. Let me see.
I don't even know what we had for a farm stand definition change.
I have it here, on page 138 of the document. If you want to amend definition partially, but it says a roadside stand or temporary structure at which locally sourced farm products are offered for direct sale to the public that is operated by a farmer or by a person who purchases the majority of the products sold at the farm stand from farmers.
All right,
Ooh, I think I can do it.
so that is the definition from LD 738. Which is
Oh, look at this. Look at this, guys.
2011. Excellent.
Does that make it?
Yeah, can we zoom in on that?
I'll do my best.
Thanks.
How's that?
I think better. Hey,
What do you think?
yeah. Well, I guess let's
I'm glad I'm here.
So
that's just a format change.
yeah.
Do you just want me to?
Yeah, let's just go through and find all the red
Okay.
change text.
So the town planner assists the town manager, select board, planning board, and other town staff in the administration of various land use regulations and programs. That makes sense.
This was all stuff that we had talked about in the previous meeting.
Administrative support, the town planner is the primary contact and administrative support for the planning board. The planner prepares public hearing notices, agendas, notifications as needed. The planner processes applications, background materials submitted by applicants, prepares draft findings, decisions, notices as determined by the planning board.
I think that was changed. Don't know about that one.
I didn't have any note about that. What do you think was changed about it?
That we wanted the word they every time changed to the town planner.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
All right. Make a running list of changes here.
Is that a PDF or can we type right in that?
It's a PDF.
Oh, wait, the days are gone. Are they?
The town.
Oh, they are.
They
Yeah,
are.
Look at that.
Good.
Look at that. All right. Article 2 down.
Rules and records, the board shall adopt rules for a transaction of business and the town planner shall keep a record of its resolutions. That good?
Yeah.
Okay.
What was that appeals thing in blue?
Yeah.
Appeals from decisions of the code enforcement officer may be taken to the Board of Appeals in accordance with provisions of Article 5. I think that's.
Good luck with that.
Yeah.
We got it up here.
You better.
Did this have any changes? Because I'm not seeing any red in this section.
That Article 3. Yeah, we had talked 3.5, was it?
3.3.5.
Oh, it's not red though.
I don't think we really agreed upon any changes on it. I thought the way that we left it was we were gonna add some clarifying language and, not sure what. I think that was your core, Mark.
Well, that looks like that does have a clarifying language up there. It's on red.
Yeah, it's just, it did add the municipal approval does not exempt the applicant from other regulatory bodies or private agreements. I think that's added.
No, no, that's in
That's in
the old version. This is the,
I don't have a copy
this
of
is
that.
the 25 version.
The one that was printed out today. That should have. The section if it was changed, and then it
Yeah.
would show highlights on the sides from where she made. notes.
Yeah, it's, we just went through that in Article 2 while you're out of the room. Yeah, no, nothing has been changed.
So the only thing going back to the minutes under Article, Article 3, application review, 3.3.5. It's said in here. Language needs to be adjusted to something along the lines of the. Quote, code enforcement officer shall issue a permit after all code issues have been resolved. Margot suggested it being contingent upon. Compliance with the land use ordinance. That's all it says under the minute.
Was that talking about the self-modification? Or we wanted to make sure there was full.
This is all applications.
Is it just because that sounds like the board approval includes your approval?
Correct, the way that it was
That
written,
second
it's
sentence there.
the code enforcement officer shall, issue. Shall issue a permit for the proposed activity. With that being said, if it doesn't meet the building codes, having the word shall in there.
Right.
Kind of.
It does make it
puts
sound
things
like
into a quagmire.
once they're approved here, it's approved by you.
Correct, yeah, they're two distinct separate things.
Yep.
How about shall be permitted to issue?
That sounds even better.
Because you then are permitted to issue it, but you may not because municipal approval does not exempt the applicant from other regulatory bodies or private agreements.
When would this apply? What comes before the planning board that? We say, yes, we rubber stamp that you have to issue permits for.
Any building permit and stuff like that. The board does not approve any buildings per se, or construction, or sign permits, or any of that stuff. They go through and they approve whatever the board is there to go through. But there are things above and beyond that that need to happen.
Like proposed use. For
I mean, I had it happen, a couple years ago, I came in front of the board. Showed plans for staff. Thought because I was approved in here, that meant I was approved. And then you came on board and you were like, I never saw any plans for that, and we went back and went over it, but. I thought because it was approved in here, that meant I was good to go build. I just didn't realize. That means that it's cool, but I still gotta submit the building plans. So it definitely can come up.
So it's a two-stage process. At some points, if it's just the CEO approval, then I basically do all of that. If it's CP, Kate and I do the first part, which the same stuff that the planning board would do, and then, you know, we follow suit. I follow suit with any of the building permits and the rest of the stuff.
Does this apply to anything other than a building permit situation? Like if we approve a change of use? Like does that have a follow-on activity?
Yes,
There's
we have a change of use permit that we do. And then with that change of use would
Okay.
depend on what the change of use is. So for instance, if you were going from an office business environment to a daycare, well, there's an inspection that needs to take place to make sure that it's meeting all the fire codes. So depending on what the change of use is, may depend on whether or not there's an inspection that goes along with that.
Okay.
If it gets to the planning board stage, though, they should have already filled out the permit. Correct?
No,
No.
the planning board comes first.
I never get the building permits until well after the planning board has their approval. You may see a like sketch of the grounds, the whole earthworks, all of that, you know. But when it comes to the actual building, the plumbing design, the you know, construction design, all that, I never see
Even
that.
shoreline zoning would be.
Right, see shoreline zoning, if they're required to put in a shoreline zoning permit, that's another one that comes after the fact.
How about if we tack on to the end of the second sentence that ends in proposed activity? Code enforcement officer shall issue a permit for proposed activity after receipt of a permit application.
No, because what you're saying is shall, I have to issue the permit. And what I'm saying is until I go through and review the permit, shall is,
But if you change it to may and we approve a project and it's something that you don't want to see built, changing that to may gives you the ability to just never approve it.
no, because the approval process is not under my name. I can argue the points of the building, but the process is under the planning board. So until the planning board gives its approval, then it has to come to me for all the permitting and everything else. So I can't do anything until the planning board gives their approval on something. Approval, not.
That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that after we give our approval, you can just refuse to issue a permit. Right? Like
Without getting myself into serious hot water. I have
why?
duty.
What would you be? Why would
Unless I can find.
if it says may, you may do it, you may not.
Right.
It's
but
your
unless I
option.
unless I can come up with a reason why it does not meet code, it does not meet the land use ordinance, or it does not meet something, I can't reject a permit.
You absolutely can if we change that word to may.
The law requires me to go through and do diligence and go through the process, and if it meets all the letters of the law, the code, the land use ordinance, all this other stuff, then yes, my suggestion would be if you want to do
Well, then you-
anything, eliminate everything that says code enforcement shall and eliminate the whole thing. Because we're talking about two separate things.
What's the other thing?
The planning board does not issue permits. So when you get done, you are either approving a project or denying a project. From there, it comes into my office for all the permitting stuff. And what I'm getting at is you can't tell me I have to approve permits.
You
because-
just said you have to approve
But
permits.
Isn't the wording going all the way back to the what's in bold, permit issued after municipal review?
Correct. So
The board doesn't issue a permit. You get
Correct.
something, you don't walk out of here with any signed piece of paper that then I can hang up and say, I've got a permit to do this work.
Correct. So
So,
what we do get is the board signing off. And then this, every time a plan comes through.
yeah,
There's signatures that they're gonna put on the form, maps, whatever,
Mhm.
those become binding. That and conditions of approval, those conditions of approval I take and I put those on the permits as well. So
Yeah.
if there are conditions of approval that the board puts on, that gets added to the building permit or whatever
Mhm,
permit
mhm.
it would be under, so.
Pursuant to all applicable laws.
Does it make sense to have some plain speak that even though you've got planning board approval, you still need permits for building and stuff like that?
Yeah, I think that's what that last sentence is supposed to indicate. It's not the clearest written one, but that municipal approval does not exempt the applicant from regulatory requirements and private
Right,
agreements and stuff, so.
but maybe they need to be told that it's.
That last sentence could use clarification.
So my thought of what 3.3.5 is supposed to mean is the code enforcement officer is not allowed to issue any permits until the planning board gets done with its approval process. I can't issue anything until you guys get done with the plans review or site plan.
If it's like, I hear you on the building,
Mhm.
but if they come before the planning board with a change of use, they don't have to include in their application an application for the permit?
No, I
No.
don't think so.
They
I don't
do
recall
for
ever-
us, we have a change of use / home occupation permit that has to be filled out if somebody wants a change of use for structure.
And they send it to you and you say you need to go to the planning board, and then we review it.
Right, change of use usually does not apply, it's very rare that something would apply towards that. Unless the building is enlarged by greater than 10%. Or if Kate and I feel like that there's something going on with this change of use that the board really needs to chime in on. So,
Yeah, like we had to do a change of use at the planning board for. The cabinet shop that was on Friendship Road, right in the historic village. And we had a long meeting about it because it was allowable. In the matrix, but it was a very questionable use to drop into, you know. Residential neighborhood, so. But we never saw a permit application for that. Um. What are we trying to accomplish with this page? We're trying to clarify it for the applicant, right?
I believe so because of the way that the header is written. Permits if issued after municipal review.
Right. Most of this paragraph, this article though, is it's all about the requirements of all the various entities here, the town planner, code enforcement officer, planning board. If we're going to clarify this for the applicants, like I tend to agree with Rebecca that, you know, putting some plain speak in here about what the process is makes sense. So. Is there some language that we can agree on as a board that's going to satisfy that?
I'm open to whatever language you want to put in there, as long as it doesn't say shall issue the permit. That's my big thing, because then it's misleading to the public that. Well, but I've gone through this process, now I just gotta go get my permit from the. Or this permit is already granted, and that's not the case. So I think it's very misleading.
But I think you're looking at it as there's land use activity, which is what the planning board is approving. But then there's building
Correct, the two.
activities that have to be dealt with.
Mhm.
If approved or approved, the code enforcement shall issue a permit for the land use. Proposed land use activity, how's that?
Well, the other issue
Does
that
that
I think
clarify better?
is getting people confused is the final decision of the application review from the town planner and the planning board shall be provided to the code enforcement officer. If approved and approved with conditions, the code enforcement officer shall issue a permit. So again, it goes to, well, the board shall,
But the planning board is only issuing decisions on land use activity.
correct.
If we give a final decision on an application review or an activity that we are permitted to hear, and there's a permit associated with it for that specific activity, and it's our authority to approve that, I think the word shall is applicable, but the planning board, if we do not review building permits, we would never issue a final decision for you to issue a permit.
I think we have some audience input.
So the way I'm understanding this is maybe neither here nor there, but the if approved or approved with conditions, to me, sounds like that's the code enforcement officer giving the approval or the approval with conditions. So if that's not clear enough, if approved or approved with conditions by the code enforcement officer, the code enforcement officer shall issue a permit.
Yeah, that's not the way it's supposed to be, though. If that's the way you're understanding it, that's not how it's supposed to be.
It's not based on,
No, it's based on that's the problem. It has to be, it's the planning board's decision
okay,
that the conditions they're approving, either approved, if approved or approved with conditions
by the planning board.
by the planning board. The code enforcement officer shall issue a permit for the proposed activity. I think it would be much clearer except for the proposed land use activity.
No, because the problem is that we've incorporated everything into our land use ordinance, signs,
Okay,
everything. It's shoreland zone.
Do you move it then to the applicant? How's the wording? It's, if approved or approved with conditions, that comes from you, correct?
Right.
Applicant will then work with code enforcement to obtain necessary permits. Do you put it back on the applicant to make it clear the applicant has another step?
So,
Sort of what you were talking
Yeah.
Rebecca.
so
More succinct though.
Yeah.
I think one of the things we're getting hung up is this is permit issue. The planning board does not issue permits. That's not part of their function. They are an approval body for any site plan or subdivision that comes to the town. That's what that goes. Once it goes through the planning board, all the permits and everything else go through the code enforcement officer to make sure that they are up to date. And I think that's why it's labeled permit issued after municipal review. So it's already after you guys have done the municipal review. Okay, so there's two separate things, the municipal review and then the permitting. So this is trying to address the permitting side of things.
Right.
So having anything in there that says the code enforcement officer shall issue a permit, well, that's not true. They haven't demonstrated anything yet other than municipal review. They have to prove that this is going to meet codes, land use ordinances, or whatever governing body is there.
The applicant shall work with the code enforcement officer to,
In my mind, it's once municipal, once the planning board has approved,
I got it. Here's one.
Go for it.
Shall be provided to the code enforcement officer. Permits require compliance with local ordinances, zoning and environmental standards. In order to be valid.
But if we, I hear both of what you're saying. If the planning board issues a waiver of the ordinance on a section. And it doesn't, it's non-conforming and we approve it. And then you have the authority to review it and say, that's not conforming, no permit.
But he can't override the planning board. He can't,
He can if we change the language to allow him to do that.
Yeah,
but legally, I don't think legally he can, but I see what you're saying. I think it's.
Alright, we have a lot to do.
If approved or approved with conditions. Code enforcement officer has.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so it's almost 7 o'clock. I don't think you got the votes to change this to May, and we can't seem to agree on anything. This isn't actually a problem, it's an inconvenience for people.
Yeah, it just doesn't make things clear. That's all.
Yeah,
So that
I
was
mean,
my whole-
I agree that we should fix it. I think we should. Since we need to get.
I'm trying to find the next red part.
I think it'll be an article six. That's the one she uploaded.
I think so.
Yeah.
I'm getting there.
6, 9, 10.
Oh, there we are.
Oh, 5. Oh, these are all the.
You're okay with those?
Responsibility changes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Placing code enforcement, town planner.
Was there one time? There was language that was added about the town planner that we did not have. I don't remember what section that was in.
Oh, that was up
Oh,
to
we
2.
looked at
That was.
that.
Yeah, you already got that.
Yeah, you were out of the room. I think we went through that. When we're into the matrix.
I was
right?
missing something, yeah.
Yeah, there's,
Accessory retail.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Is that okay?
there's also stuff in the matrix, which I think, you're not there yet.
I'm not there yet. Sorry, I'm slow.
Oops,
Okay.
back.
No, we already saw
Oh,
that.
yeah.
I already went back for that one.
It's an accessory structure in the,
There we go.
Matrix.
Coming down to the matrix.
jumps around a lot.
So I will tell you, one of the things I'm putting on for the select board as a priority is to actually get a codification company to come in. And they'll come in and they'll go over our land use ordinances and all of our ordinances, and they have like legal review and everything, and it'll be codified and nice and beautiful.
That would be awesome.
It's like
Right.
a goal.
So we're allowing accessory structure and everything except for industrial.
You need to see what's above that.
I don't remember, no, I thought that we had a conversation about allowing an industrial. and-
For residential uses.
This is
Oh,
under
right,
residential
right,
uses.
gotcha, okay.
Yeah,
And then there's a star next to the 7. I
Yeah.
don't know what that is.
Oh, that'll come up later.
That's
Yeah.
a note, yeah.
And commercial, you're allowing it.
yes.
I'm getting there, sorry.
The only thing that could be confusing, I don't know if you're gonna be okay. Any accessory structure within the shoreline zone, regardless of size, must be permitted. So by leaving the language in there, accessory structure greater than 100 could be deceiving, because anything within the shoreline zone is required to have a permit, regardless of size.
I think we left that for your review anyways. The CEO review.
Right, but I'm just saying, it could be misleading to people. We already have language in there that tells us when 100 foot, anything greater than 100 feet is permitted, and when in the shoreline zone, but by putting it in the matrix, it might be confusing, it doesn't need to be there.
There's another
It's,
footnote.
it's basically, it's quoted in both categories in separate locations.
I think that
The
we
written word takes
said
precedent
that you have to take,
over the matrix.
Okay.
And that should be noted in here too, that the written word takes precedent over the matrix.
But again, I just don't see that the 100 even needs to be there. If you take it out, it doesn't matter anyway. So you're going back to the written word in order to look it up instead of assumptions that, oh, it's greater than 100 feet.
You guys want me to keep going down or?
Yeah, that's good.
Okay, that's your 100 feet. This looks like 67-5. Mixed use buildings.
Yeah, the high standard review necessary for any of the proposed uses will be followed for all the uses. I.e., if any of the uses individually would require planning board approval, the whole project needs to go before the planning board. But if each use separately only needs plan or CEO approval, the whole project only needs CP approval.
Needs a comma, but other than that.
Seems decent. Where'd you put the comma?
After IE, you always put one.
Oh.
It's so hard.
Oh, it's jumps 9.
Oh, is that where I'm jumping to, or should I just keep it eye open in case there's something in it?
You're in 9.
I'm keeping my eye open, both of them.
I don't remember talking about anything in 9. It's in here.
it's the whole ordinance.
It's not though. It jumped from Article 6 to Article 9. What are we?
There was something.
Oh, there's a parking change. Minimum required parking change for dwelling unit within rural village, historic.
Oh, that's
village.
right.
Yeah, right here.
Dude, that was just state law that.
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
That just applies to affordable housing though, question mark?
Anything within a growth zone,
Okay,
and that's what those zones listed are, they're
Yeah.
considered our growth zones.
And then there's
Because retail.
accessory retail. And then notes.
Was that the only thing in 9? Oh, yeah.
I'm just, can you read that okay?
Yeah,
You're kind of squinting.
yeah, my eyes are going bad on me. Yeah,
Do I need to make it bigger?
oh, it's all right.
Okay.
I was gonna put a typo in there.
Facilities. Oh,
I don't remember talking about this, but it was,
I think this is another thing that was meant to comply with state law.
Yeah, facility has a look, but she can run that through, Word.
What, this. Oh, then so we get 10.28.
I'm almost there. Sorry, guys.
Disappears off my screen while I'm scrolling, so it's hard to tell where it landed.
Exactly, and the mouse over here is touchy. Okay, 10:28. There we go. Broadband internet.
Oh, that was hard.
And 28.2.5.
All right. So 10.28.2.5, we've deleted. Planning board may waive any of the submission requirements below if it determines the project not have a negative adverse impact on adjacent properties and uses. And then 10.28.3.8.4, we deleted the paragraph about unreasonable fees.
What about 10.28.3.2? 3.2.
Oh, that was about changing the radius on them.
Are you good?
Yes, that was what we.
What did we end up with?
We're saying that when they provide the map showing the location of existing towers, we asked them to show towers that are under 200 feet, within a 20-mile radius. I think next up is 10.28.3.10.
And you were good with that?
Yeah.
What was,
Oh, that was the deletion of the unreasonable fees.
okay,
All right, 10.28.3.10, this was about asking for a surety bond. Connected to inflation for the length of the lease. In an amount to be agreed upon between the owner and the planning board to secure the cost of demolishing the tower.
In the past, we've done a bond or we've allowed them to make a actual, so like we hold an escrow, actual cash on hand.
Okay, the text that says establish a form of surety, so
Okay.
they left that open. I was just assuming people would buy it on instead of lock that cash up for 99
We
years.
actually have. We could have cash in.
Really?
That we have to. Maintain.
Question, did inflation, was that supposed to be part of this, or did you determine that you didn't want an inflation clause in here?
Oh, no, we included that in there. It reads, the owner of the facility shall establish a form of surety tied to inflation for the length of the
Okay.
lease in an amount to be agreed upon between the owner and planning board to secure the cost of removing the tower at a future date in the event of its abandonment, including demo, removal, and disposal costs.
Okay, sorry, the angle's a little bad right
Oh,
here.
yeah,
so-
I understand. I gotta glare up the lights too. Okay. Next, I think is 10.28.4.5. Where we changed the setbacks to be 150% of its height to a public or private road and 200% of its height on property lines.
Yeah.
Whichever is greater.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Sorry, and this is maybe in bad timing as far as whether or not you want to continue looking at this section in particular, but I'm just curious where some of the things may or may not fit in that were brought to our workshop last week.
Yeah.
Backtracking to actually more towards the beginning of what we're reviewing right now, but I'll jump in at the setbacks because I definitely have some questions about that. So
Okay.
do we, what's the process as far as yes, having made some proposals and then whether or not they're tied in or,
Yeah, I've been planning to run through your suggestions.
Okay,
with
so there's
everybody
still
here tonight to try to
chance to do that.
see if we can
Okay.
agree to work some of that stuff in here.
Okay,
You know, the next thing that we were gonna modify was the landscaping, and I think we need to do some more work on that one. I know you had suggestions about a bunch of different things, lightning protection and various things, and I think that we can include that stuff in here.
okay,
We just need to, I guess, write it verbally tonight and vote on it somehow. Yeah, so ideally we would, discuss it, it would get written. We would adjust the language and we could all sit and look at it, but I think we have to kind of do this on the fly to see if we can agree on some language on some of this stuff and get it added in here. So I guess why don't we run through the stuff that's in 10.28 that we've already talked about, and we'll run through some of the citizen suggestions here. 10.28.4.6. This was requiring all plantings to be of native species and maintain an 80% survival for 5 years. This is I'm not sure what the goal of this is. Like, if we require screening on a project, that screening needs to stay alive, definitely. Right? Like, it's after 5 years, they can't just cut it down, you know? So like, I'm not sure why the 80% survival for 5 years went on here.
I think it's to get it established, because when you plant, you're gonna need to water and maintain it so that it doesn't die from just being stuck in the ground. I think the notion is that if you get it planted, you maintain it, it lives for 5 years, it's probably gonna keep on going. But I agree with what you're saying. This section, this line was copied, I know, from the shoreline zone section. On
Oh, really?
Mark's suggestion.
Yeah, I mean, I've never had a spec book that I had to follow building where I was allowed to let plants die. You know, like,
It would be really nice if they didn't, because I can tell you of one headache we've had about hedges. Where it would be great if it could be in perpetuity.
yeah.
99.
The other thing that's that I think that we should change about this is we should put in a percentage of screening that's gonna be provided.
I thought we had talked about that.
We did. I don't know what a reasonable level of screening is. I would guess that like 100% screening isn't really achievable because plants grow and change over time, but you know, I would think that like 80% is pretty achievable. And there's a test system, like that was the name of it told me last week.
It's a cover board. We use it in surveying ecological sites. You put a grid on it, basically just paint a piece of plywood white, put a grid on it, and then stick it behind the foliage you're trying to measure, and you see how many of the squares you can count. And that you find the percentage that way. So if you can see 10 out of 100 squares, it's 90% coverage.
I think you talked about both 80% and 75%. I don't think you decided on either one of those were the two.
Either sound fine to me on that. We would probably want, if you're getting into testing coverage for the cover board, you need to specify from the property, as viewed from the property line, or up to a certain height, presumably. I assume we're not going to expect them to screen the entire tower.
And it says the base of it, but it doesn't specify what the
Yeah.
base constitutes.
That's a good point.
You know, letting the grass grow long. We covered the base.
And if you plant plants directly next to the base, it's gonna have a very different effect than if they're 50 feet away.
Right. Oh, how about if we say something like the plantings must be of native species and
Maintained.
Maintained.
Survive.
uh
maybe and just say maintained. And they will be maintained.
Something will be maintained.
For the life of the tower or the site.
Sure. Maintained for the
Please.
lease, perfect,
Like measurable time.
okay, existing plants shall be preserved to the maximum extent practicable. Um, Something like, screening plants. Must provide 80% cover measured with a.
Is there a separate screening section?
Separate screening section.
Yeah.
I think this landscaping paragraph is it.
Okay.
Oh. Yeah, plants must provide 80% screening of the wireless facility up to the height of the top of the fence.
Fence or perimeter structures, if they did something with like a control box or something that maybe stuck up above the fence.
Okay. Yes, they could put it in a taller building too. Yeah, I suppose, I mean, well, one-story buildings in my experience, but. Yeah.
The full term is visual estimation cover board.
Are you trying to take dictation?
No, I mean,
Okay. Okay. I guess Draining plants. Shall provide. Say wireless facility structures other than the tower. It's measured. Visual estimation cover board. How about that, everybody?
I like it. Wonderful. Do we need to add a definition for visual estimation cover board?
Lake made it sound like this is a common.
Like everybody's got one.
I've seen it used.
When I worked as a landscaper in Seattle, homeowners associations would wheel this thing out. Like at least two had it and they're like, oh, it doesn't comply, it doesn't cover enough squares.
It doesn't hurt to add a definition.
Yeah.
No, because I've never heard of the thing, but I believe you that it exists.
Um. I think this is a landscaper specific thing.
Well, we're talking about landscape.
Yeah. It's this term is used by a bunch of different industries. I was just trying to search,
Oh, okay.
hopefully try to find some kind of professional organization who's got a definition for this. But I think that's it's a pretty decent term and figure out what it means in the future. All right, anything else on this paragraph?
Where are we? I'm sorry.
Oh, well, we're on 10.28.4.6.
Oh, you're still on landscape.
Yeah, yes. All right.
So this will help your life. But I did look at some dates that the room is available if you wanted to not rush through everything.
Okay. What are those dates?
The 16th. Or rooms where I made I made the executive decision that people can move. The 16th, the 23rd. The 25th. And the 30th.
And do all of those dates work with the timeline of getting
I know.
decisions to select board?
So
April 1st would be the deadline.
Do we have to do a notification for this meeting, though?
you would have to do,
Really, only the 30th would work. If we have to do a 2-week notification, right? It's 12.
But the paper doesn't go out again until next Thursday.
so that
What's
has
it-
to
what's
be
it a week?
published, but we also can post it, like. I can check the login.
30th is on that day.
Yes, it is.
So yeah, on the Thursday.
We could have, Tuesday is, we'd have to have it in that Tuesday.
But if it gets published on the 19th, then. That's only 11 days.
We don't have to publish the ordinance on the 19th. The notice has to be in the paper on the.
That's what I'm saying. But don't we have to have the notice in the paper 14 days before the meeting?
Hold on, I think it was 12 and 7, but I could be wrong. I'm doing it right now.
I'm not sure of the paper, but it just has to be published in the local paper. It doesn't say it has to be in the county limits.
I mean, if worse comes to worse. I think that family kill me. As long as we don't publish this whole thing in the newspaper. What she has to get to the printer is the title. To be on the warrant, so we do have a little bit more of a window. Do you see what I'm saying? It has to get seen by the select board and the
Right.
public.
I mean, every time I voted on one of these, it just says, do you want to approve? the
Right, but we have to
changes?
have that document in our hand.
When?
Once it appears in the newspaper that it says you're doing it, we have to have it 12 days before. We have to have it available 12 days before the date of your meeting. So say you're meeting on the 30th, we'd have to have it on the 18th. So, but if you're gonna meet, say you can meet the next week. We're cutting it close, but you could technically have it.
I think we're at, I'm very confused. I'm talking about the notification in. Sorry. I'm trying to find out when we have to have this document. This document that we're working on right now,
Okay,
done. But we have, like, if we're gonna do another meeting, we have a separate set of timelines.
you're gonna do
So
another.
you're saying that, like, if we haven't approved. The package, then Pam can't put the item onto the warrant.
The select board has to see what they're putting on, so that drop dead date for me would be the 7th.
what Pam has been telling them is that she needs to get that out 7 days in advance so that they select board.
I understand that, but they could have something in their hands.
For the 7th, but they,
Right, it might take them more time to review it if they get it on that Monday, I mean, I get the concept. But also, if they don't wanna feel rushed and they wanna get it right, I also understand, I think. Select board would understand that,
Okay, I'm
I'm trying,
I'm trying to understand why Pam said we had to have this done next week. I don't know,
I will text her,
okay,
normally anytime I have something going into the select board, she always requires me to have it like a weekend. Sometimes less because it's very small for their review.
I give them time to read it.
That's my thought is she's looking for at least a week so that they can digest that and potentially have any questions for the board about what it is.
Okay. And I thought that they were going to meet about the warrant, not on the 7th, but at their second meeting in March. I thought that was the other part of this.
no, it's
conversation.
April, it's gotta be April 7th, because she has to have everything. To. The warrant printer by April 10th.
Okay.
So I'm just trying to do the math. So today's the 12th. I'm doing some math, go ahead, you keep talking and I'll figure it out.
Okay, moving on to 4.9 signage. We changed this to say no commercial messages nor any other signs with safety warnings and identification sign of not greater than 6 square feet shall be placed in a tower.
Sounds good.
All right, 4.12 utility service. Utility service must be run underground from the tower to a pole on a town or state roadway.
That sounds good.
Next is noise. We deleted the time extension, time frame and the exemption from meeting the noise ordinance for the backup generator. And we added a paragraph saying testing of the backup generator must only occur between the hours of 10 and 3 during the weekday and be tested a maximum of once per week.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
I know that the noise ordinance applies. Where does the tower fall under that? Is it commercial or industrial? Because that changes the decibel level allowed for the generator.
Yeah, I don't know why this would be industrial.
I thought we removed that so that they all the time had to have a sound suppression system.
Yeah, but how much they suppress the sound depends on what use they're classified as. Industrial is allowed to be a little louder. Commercial-
Because one is 75 and one is 60.
Yeah.
So.
As a standard condition of approval, prior to commencing regular operation of the tower, all tower holders and operators must submit a certificate of compliance with all current FCC regulations concerning electromagnetic radiation and other electronic emissions applicable to the tower and all co-located equipment. All tower operators and owners shall bring towers into compliance with any federal, state, and local laws and regulation concerning electromagnetic radiation and other electric emissions applicable to the tower and all co-located equipment in accordance with such regulations, and submit a new certificate of compliance to the town. That's confusing sentence.
We also have a public comment.
Yeah, Amy?
Well, I just wanted to clarify, are you understanding reference to the co-located equipment, meaning that the results are cumulative evaluation?
I know that that was the intent.
Okay.
After reading this, I think that's what it says.
Okay. And one of the other things that might also add to it would be making sure it's an independent third party agency that's chosen by the town for the testing.
The certificate of compliance itself that would come from the regulatory authority, wouldn't it, the FCC, FCC?
I believe that's the case.
It's not defining what you're looking for. The FCC does not go out and measure
No.
electromagnetics. You're not gonna get an FCC certification, other than here's the equipment, the engineers are telling you that it's going to be this, and here's your certificate. To the best of my knowledge, the FCC does not go out and do, that's all some other company that's gonna be hired, or engineering firm, or if you're looking for actual physical measurements. And again, I don't know.
Yeah, I have no idea what they do.
That was
So
my
what-
understanding as
so
well,
that's-
is that you have to just submit it to the FCC and they say, oh, it's good, it's within the limits. You're good to go. I don't think they do any measurements.
So
Maybe certificate of compliance is the wrong term here. Maybe we just ask them to document their compliance with the regulation.
Yeah.
So it might be two different things, so it's
Yeah,
providing you with the certificate from the FCC, but having done the data findings, and that's done by the third party independent agency. That the town says, this is who we want to have done, do that work.
Can we require that though, because if they are collecting the information, bringing it to the FCC, and the FCC is issuing this certificate, can we tell them that can we make them submit certain things to the FCC to get?
We don't need to involve the FCC at all.
Where does this, but my understanding from reading it is they submit the information to the FCC, and then the FCC issues this certificate of compliance?
I have no idea what goes on.
Yeah, so
So I asked the same question the last time we talked about it, and somebody said.
Are you talking
yes.
about the FCC waiver?
No.
No.
So what from what I understand is just as the run of the mill activity for setting up one of these towers. They go to the FCC and say, hey, all the emissions we're doing are within this band. Because we're not interfering with radio, we're not interfering with this.
Mhm.
We're just doing the standard thing you've asked us to do. And then they say, yeah, you're doing that. And that's it. Like, it's just a run of the mill thing they do through the FCC just as part of the process of building these towers. They're not saying, oh, we're certifying we're within this better safety range, or we're taking any other measures. It's just we are putting things into the airwaves. We have to get permission from the FCC to do that. And this is that permission essentially.
And so there's no. My understanding, there's nobody comes out with a little device, and checks. the
Yeah.
things. They're
We promise
They
we're
show that
behaving,
they're putting it out.
okay?
Yeah.
So essentially, that's what we're asking for, is for there to be that
Yeah,
oversight.
Right,
And
and
I think-
actual field
Is-
testing
is-
of the emission level.
And
I
are
think-
there those people?
Oh, yeah,
There
there
are.
are agents, yeah.
I think that should be a thing. I think it should be a separate article than this, just making sure, like, this seems almost like dotting our i's and crossing our t's as far as, yeah, the tower's allowed to go up by the FCC standards.
Yeah.
And then we put in a separate article
Mhm.
asking for this factor testing,
Perfect.
or any testing, but.
Okay.
Okay, the internet says, and I don't know how helpful this is. All electronic emissions certificates of compliance for telecommunication towers in the United States are governed by the Federal Communications Commission. So they issue these permits.
But
They're
but
governed
it's,
by them, but it doesn't say the issue. Be careful with wordplay, so.
Well, right, because I'm not sure they have to do any more than say that we are within your
Yeah.
I
guidelines.
don't think legally they have to.
Right,
I
all they
don't-
have to
I'm
do
not
is.
sure you could even compel them to do that.
But this ordinance compels getting a certificate. Does the FCC issue the certificate or does a third party?
I think we're talking about two different things. And, the FCC probably does something to confirm that they're complying. I don't know if they put out a certificate or what, but what we can also do over and above this is require the third party field testing to make sure that, they are actually.
What standards are you gonna use?
FCC regulations, we're just asking them to pay for an independent tester to come in to actually prove that their stuff is doing what they say they're doing when they told the FCC it was in compliance.
Right, most agencies basically use everything, everything nowadays is done with computers. The signal going out, this is what the bandwidth is, this is what this is what the electromagnetic frequency is. The further away you get from the tower will depend on what your readings are. If you don't set a standard of what that private company is going to read it at, they could be 20 miles away and take a reading. Yep, here's your reading.
Good point.
So it has to be something that is a standard in the industry. I have no idea what that is.
Oh,
That's way above.
I think we just say that in, third party testing that demonstrates that it's meeting the FCC's emission levels. They're like, the FCC is gonna have standards about, emissions at certain.
And they have a whole chart showing distances and how much emissions is acceptable.
You bring up a good point. Does anybody, I mean, at what point does nobody actually come out and check anything? Because you can just look at the computers and the stuff that's, I mean, it should be all logged. How
My
much
son's
they're
an
putting
electrical
out.
engineer.
They know how much this tower is putting out. They can see it.
My son's an electrical engineer. 9 times out of 10, they basically go by whatever the design specs are, and that's what it's going to be, and that's what they'll report.
Yeah.
They don't actually go out and physically measure each individual device to confirm that it's that.
Yeah.
That's just the way that most agencies work.
that's why we want this article with third party testing to make them pay to have somebody come and do the testing.
Yeah.
And as a little side part to that too was allowing for random unannounced testing on our part, but at the applicant's expense. So just because they meet it once, is it still being met?
Right, because upgraded equipment might change it.
Sure. So anytime any new equipment goes on, you could require that. So anytime any new equipment goes on, they would have to have another certification of that the tower can support that equipment. And you could have it that the testing is done.
So are you saying even if they upgrade what they're
Yes.
existing?
So like, yes.
It's a permit.
They would have to get a permit from the code enforcement officer, and that triggers, we wanna see an analysis of you wanna see analysis from a structural engineer that the tower can support that equipment, that upgraded equipment.
And then also require testing to make sure it's not going outside of specs of what's acceptable.
Correct.
Yeah.
You could request that, and they pay for that, not the town, but they pay for that.
And in
That's
terms of the-
typical when
Okay.
that's a typical practice.
looking at the future, the down the road stuff we're gonna see less towers. Like big towers and much more small. Like smaller nodes. That have less range, so they're gonna put them everywhere.
I don't know if that's
Um,
true or not.
I believe that to be the case.
It's definitely the case in cities.
Yeah, I mean, well, with
In rural
self-driving
areas,
cars and
it's different.
stuff, you need to have
Right.
smaller. Stuff along roads and situations like that where you start to get into. Pizza box size stuff. All over the place to form tight meshes.
how any of this is gonna, be impacted by that?
We don't really regulate that at the moment. There is a permit, you have a permit for it?
Yeah.
Okay. What are you texting me against, because it doesn't show up on land use.
For what?
So. We do a building permit and there's actually a fee for a tower, and then there's also a fee for each fixture on the tower. So.
Okay.
When they change fixtures on a tower, just recently, we had both of them upgraded, systems. I'm assuming it's 5G for both towers that they were installing, stuff on, and that required a permit from both companies that own the tower.
Oh, okay. What Shane's talking about is like
Yeah, he's talking. about
micro
telephone
installations on
poles.
telephone
same
poles.
on-
light
So that we
poles.
cannot regulate.
Right.
We
Okay.
cannot regulate the telephone poles,
Why not?
because federal law says we can't.
Rockland has like a 30-page long ordinance regulating that.
They may own their telephone poles.
Okay.
I'll double check that.
Yeah, because Maine state law has 30-A MRSA paragraph 4362, which covers DAS small cell systems, which they cover, they say is like less than 3 square feet or something, and they'll typically not on telephone poles. They say that we can't like put undue restrictions on them, but that's it. Like we can still put some restrictions. It's a lot of the same language with cell towers of like, you can't give them unreasonable fees or prohibit them entirely.
Okay.
Sorry.
All
That's
right.
me again. Oh, no, I was just raising my hand for whenever it's time
Go ahead.
to add more thoughts. So that's the end of that section as far as the red line stuff. Would it be okay to go back and retrace the things that,
Yeah, let's finish doing this third-party testing thing first.
Okay.
We don't have any text to vote on here.
I think the other thing you might want is to actually have our attorney review this before we do anything. Too.
Sure.
I mean, I think
Feel
it's gotta
free.
be. I think we're getting to the point where if you're gonna get this technical, I think you might not make the warrant, and you're gonna have to. I just wanna make sure we're right.
Okay.
I think we need, especially in this, we need to make sure that what we're adopting is legal and it's binding.
I know that Kate.
Because
got
the
this
worst
section.
thing that can happen is you think you're doing it right, and then it's not.
So if it doesn't make it for this time for June,
It would make it for November.
okay.
Can we force a special election?
Mm-mm.
No?
Yes, you can.
You can, yeah, but what would it take?
It takes signatures, or you can ask the select board, but be careful and well, that's a whole nother discussion.
Oh, okay.
If we. I know it's not as restrictive as we want, but if we copy things from the state model. That's already been legally reviewed. And I think he got that from here. I'm looking for it.
Yeah, I don't think this paragraph that's on screen is anything in question or in worry. This is just bringing us in line with
Yeah.
state ordinance. It's this. The worry is with the third party. That's it.
I mean, if it turns out it's not enforceable, then, the applicant can, prove in court, right? I mean,
They'll go to the
what's the
FCC.
downside?
They'll go to the FCC.
Well, but that costs money, so it's better to spend your money now than to spend your money later.
Fair enough. Okay, I don't know how that
Okay.
affects anything that we're doing tonight, really.
I'm just saying that before. It would be great if, when the language is done, we just have an attorney look at it to make sure that what we're requiring, we legally can require, because it's cheaper to pay for the attorney now than it is if you're in a lawsuit.
Yeah, by all means. Okay.
That's all.
Okay, so how is this gonna read?
Well, they have
require
in
a
here.
certificate of exposure compliance performed by an independent third-party agency. Funded by an applicant and chosen by the town. Allowing random unannounced testing performed by the town at the applicant's expense.
You have this in your, one of your documents.
I don't know,
Someone's written it all down for us.
well,
I think I have a copy of this in here. Is it your document dated January 29?
no, March 5th. Have it? It might not have to, I mean, it doesn't have to be those words exactly, but maybe it's a launching. On the back, that part, or fourth page.
Um. Yeah, so what this proposed language says is. Require a certificate of exposure compliance. Performed by an independent third-party agency funded by the applicant chosen by the town.
So the difference with that is just with the thing we were just talking about is that there's an independent aspect to it.
Can I read something from the state model?
Sure.
The FCC regulates wireless, or not regulate, yeah, regulates wireless communication facilities and requires license holders to complete a review of the facility under the National Environmental Protection Act and Historic Preservation Act. These reviews assure that in addition to the review of impacts on historic sites and structures, all radio frequency emissions, is that what we're talking about? Or electronic emissions, are they different?
My understanding is that electronic includes radio, the frequency.
Okay, issues have been addressed at the federal level. An issue within the Federal Communications Act specifically exempts from, which is explicitly exempt from municipal review. So are we going against federal law by requiring this third-party testing?
That's
Daniel,
why we
could
should
you-
have an attorney.
Can you read that one more time? That was a lot.
Yeah, this is very dense. I'm gonna just skim a little bit. Let me.
It was more the last 2 or 3 lines, I think.
Yeah. These reviews assure that in addition to review of impacts upon historic sites and structures, all radio frequency emissions issues have been addressed at the federal level. These issues, an issue which the Federal Communications Act specifically exempts from municipal review.
So it's my understanding, because the environmental review is open for public comment now. And based on my understanding of that, we can't comment on the emissions. All we can comment on is that it might have an impact on the environment. So I don't know whether that is the same thing as what we're talking about, wanting to know what the total is that's coming out of the towers. Because on their application, they list that it's like this percentage of what's allowable by law. But there's actually no data as to what that percentage represents. How many parts per I don't know, whatever they're.
Yeah,
That is true. We're not asking them to limit their emissions or change their emissions in any way. We're asking them to test them.
Yeah.
And prove that they're within the federally set standards but yeah, we're saying, yeah, the federal standards are good enough for us. We just want them to test it and prove it.
And then it remains that way over the course of duration.
So maybe it's what you were saying before, Brendan, and the combination of what Blake just said as far as the field data.
Yeah, so it's something like applicant shall pay for third-party testing to confirm that electronic emissions from the wireless facility meet FCC regulations.
Meet or continue to meet, because they'll say they meet it to get their certificate from the FCC. Does it need to be continued to meet on an ongoing basis, or?
Well, I mean, we're not gonna provide we're not gonna demand continuous testing, right? Like. We'd ask, we'd hire an engineer, have them come out, measure it. Maybe data log it for a day.
So maybe
And then-
maintain.
Is it your understanding that they would build a tower that and then the cell phone coverage, I don't know the right terms, could go higher than they build it, but then they build it and they say that it goes to 10, and then when nobody's looking, they turn it to 11 so they can make more money? Or
I think you'd have to tie it, I think random is hard, you'd have to tie it to when there's new equipment or something on the tower.
Probably.
That makes sense.
Yeah,
like, wouldn't they be using it to the most capability right out of the gate?
well, no, and because they're looking to have the one in question right now, so we'll use that as the example.
Yeah.
They're looking to have 4 co-locators, 4 service providers on that.
Mhm.
They're starting out with only one, they've mentioned
Okay.
there's a tentative one that might be preparing to lease. Every time you add, it's gonna up. So the
Gotcha.
first one only takes a certain percentage of the, however much is allowed by the FCC.
Mhm.
But then they're gonna add a second with the idea of adding 4. And I would imagine any other tower provider coming in, if they can get the height, is gonna do the same thing.
Mhm.
So we wanna know that as they keep adding new providers, that they're all talking amongst themselves and making sure. Supposedly, the development company is supposed to be on top of that. But shouldn't we ask for just a little reassurance
Yeah.
that they are?
But again, wouldn't that be caught when we do the permitting? If they put new transmitters on a tower, they have to have a permit.
From the ones that I've seen, when they come in, it's either 4 or 6 co-locations. They come in with those numbers for the maximum. But you can ask, it's been my experience that you can ask when they add new. Or upgrade, you can ask for more.
I think that's a nice checks and balance.
It's also information for the public. To know it.
How about applicant shall bear the costs of independent third-party testing by a testing agency selected by the town to confirm that the wireless facility's electronic emissions meet FCC regulations. Testing will be repeated after any change to the equipment at the wireless facility. That's sort of neat to step in here. Okay. Fantastic.
What number are we on?
10.28.5.2, this would be a new paragraph. Okay, shall we go through your list, Amy, for March 5?
Why, sure. Some of these may have more or less pertinence or importance or whatever, so.
We're talking about, yeah, let's just start at the beginning and run through it. So this is requesting that we add a purpose section to indicate what we're attempting to do here. And there's a couple of lifts out of this model wireless telecommunication facility ordinance. That's the state of Maine provides to us.
A couple from the state of Maine's template,
What's the front of that packet look like? Is this what we're talking about now?
Yes. Did you provide these for all of us?
I did last
Yeah.
time,
Okay.
yes.
I forgot mine.
Got it.
Look at mine,
Look,
I can photocopy it.
I'm looking for the text here out of the model ordinance and I'm not seeing that here. Wonder if our pages are different.
Oh, maybe,
You're referring to this model wireless telecommunications ordinance when you write state.
oh, you know what? Mine printed this way, so it might be a different page. Mine printed sideways from the model one,
Oh.
so my pages might be different.
Oh, I see. It's section 3. It's on the first page.
Okay. I gotcha.
Is consider incorporating this all to section 3.
From the model ordinance?
Is the state?
Yes.
Oh, Jesus, it's 8 o'clock. That happened fast.
I have a date for you.
Do you?
If next Wednesday, you could do it and you would fit in the time frame.
we can,
Did you hear back from Pam?
I'm making the executive decision that that would work.
we get our our necessary announcements. at
Yes.
the Time, okay, for
I
that.
think the thing that we had talked about was that we can have workshops, but we can't vote without.
Right, the 18th is when you'd have to vote. You could do workshops before that during the day, but pretty much every other night is filled with budget committee meetings. Which I can't really change. But if you want the room during the day, we can accommodate that, but on the 18th, you would have to meet to actually adopt it.
Does that give us enough notice to have?
Then you would
voting
have a meeting on the 6th.
The 6th.
Well, technically, no, because yours can be after the select board, so you could, as long as you met on the 18th and adopted it, you could meet from now till the 18th.
Do you know when Kate is back?
She's back Monday,
Well, in the office Tuesday.
right, but you can reach her by email
Okay,
on Monday.
okay. So we don't need to have a 2-week
You-
notification for this meeting, proposed meeting on the 18th?
So if we can. All right.
I don't know that we need to have a 2-week notification for that. I'm not.
You don't need
I'm not entirely clear what the requirements
you
are.
need to have a 2-week notification for a public hearing.
Okay, and that's not what this would be.
That would,
This is a
no,
workshop.
But we can't vote on a workshop,
no, but what I'm saying is you can, the room is free on the 18th, okay? If that's what you're submitting to the select board to have a public meeting on the 18th.
We have to have a public meeting first on, and.
Right, you would have it on the 6th.
of April?
of April. But you'd have to have it done by the 18th, so that it could be in the paper on the 18th. I know it sounds crazy.
We have to have what done by the 18th so that it can be
She,
in the
if
paper
she
by the
can,
18th?
by next Tuesday, she can put it in the paper by the 18th. You have to have the document by the 18th. Then you can have the public hearing, but you're meeting but then you're meeting the requirements. You can have the public hearing on the 6th. And you will have met, when the paper is published on the 18th. It will say there's a notice, and you can have the next day or that night, she has the printed document. You've met the requirement. That it's available 2 weeks ahead of time.
I see. They want 2 weeks. The select board wants 2
The select
weeks.
board doesn't want, this is what is required for you to be able to have your public hearing on the 6th.
We have to make the document available to the public 2 weeks before. the
Correct,
6th.
so you need to have that the public document has to be available on the 18th, so you
So-
can meet technically on the 18th.
So we'd create the document, not technically vote on it, but provide it. And then, so when we go to
You're gonna
vote
have
on
your
it, we
public
cannot
hearing.
change anything. We can only vote on it. Because it's already been made and submitted and put out there.
Well, it's yay or nay. We
Yeah,
don't know.
I mean,
Just say
technically,
sentence.
the 16th is next Wednesday, right?
No,
Monday.
No, the
That's
18th
Monday.
is a Wednesday.
18th is Wednesday.
16th would have to be Monday, tomorrow's the 15th.
You could do next Wednesday. Next Thursday, is there anything on the appeals board?
I don't know.
Oh, we need to check with Kate on it, because I'm not sure. We've got a reoccurring, but I don't know if,
So the 18th is Wednesday. So you could meet next Wednesday and firm this up.
Yeah. Are people available for that?
What time is that?
Look at my
Daytime
calendar.
or night?
And if you needed to come in on Monday and Tuesday, as long as that 18th, you're taking a vote of saying, yeah, this is what we're gonna submit, this is it. Then you have your public hearing on the 6th.
Why do we have to have a separate public hearing?
So that we can get the document out to the public for at least 2 weeks before we have to vote on it. Right?
So we're not voting on the 18th.
No, we have to have the document finalized.
You have to have the document.
we have.
We're gonna vote to say, we're gonna present this document to no,
To the public,
sorry, no, we're
Um,
not gonna vote on the 18th.
Okay.
We're going, well,
you should do something formal to say this is it.
why are we voting on it twice?
Because you're not having your public comment on next week, because you can't. I can't get in, you don't have the time, I'm
Okay.
sorry.
Can they vote on anything if it's not?
No,
Yeah.
Yeah, but
They can,
we're doing the same thing that we're doing right now, where we're going through and saying, do we all agree that this is the
Yeah.
thing that we want?
that's exactly what it is.
your formal vote would be on the 6th during the public hearing. And then it goes to, but at least this, if it's done, the select board gets to see it. Any changes you make on the 6th, Kate can explain to them on the 7th.
Okay.
I'm trying to be helpful.
Let's not make any changes on the 7th if possible.
On the 6th.
The 6th, yeah, sure.
And if you guys wanna have the room during the day, you just gotta let me know.
So the 18th is a 6 o'clock meeting?
I can't do an evening on a Wednesday.
I'm flexible during the day.
Yeah, the reason we can't have the meeting earlier.
So on the 18th, there's a garden club meeting in here from 1 to 3. And that's the only problem we have on Wednesday. If you wanna do it in the morning.
I'd have to be before 1 o'clock.
I think the last two times you were 10 to 12.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And it's a workshop, so we're easy.
Sounds good.
10 o'clock on the 18th then.
I can do it if you need me.
One more meeting, just one.
Could be fantastic. We've got, 2 people who are on vacation right now.
Gotcha.
Margot gets back the 15th.
Oh, does she?
I think so.
Okay,
I'll put it in anyway. You just call me up.
yeah, sure.
Well, I mean,
Eric's
isn't
not,
5 technically a full?
5 is the full poll. April, I think.
Yeah.
Okay. Um. It's 8 o'clock. I think we've probably all had enough.
Do we need to make a note where we stop so we can just pick up where we started?
I think where we pick up is with Amy's document from March
Mhm.
5.
Is there anything else left besides this? Is there any other that you?
Yes.
To finish to look at?
There is, but it's not that severe. It's all
So
stuff that we've all already agreed on.
Yeah, I looked through the whole rest of the document. The only thing I have is I want to make a slight tweak to the farm stand definition.
Okay.
That's the only thing I thought.
Alright.
There's not a whole lot left after this.
I following up on a couple of threads from previous meetings. Data centers and concentration camps, since that's the most accurate description.
Detention centers.
Oh.
There's federal case law about detention centers that says that when a federal agency builds or leases a building, it is not subject to municipal ordinances. So there's a couple different cases about that. So I'm treating this as not a high priority at the moment. Data centers is a whole big thing that we don't obviously have time to get into. But it's actually really interesting and complicated, and there's lots of different types of them, and there's a lot to get into with that. And I think that if we have time, we don't get applications, some month this year, maybe we can get back into that again. Yeah, but I don't think we're gonna deal with that for this warrant at all. Anything else before we adjourn? All right. Let's adjourn then.
You need a motion.
Oh, yeah,
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
sure.
I'll second.